Hey everybody, Dave Whitmer for Best Practice in HR. Have a special guest today, Seal, and he's all the way from Transylvania. So it's the first time I've ever interviewed anybody from Transylvania, and you can tell by his decor that he is slightly outclassing me, and I'm happy to have you, Seal.
Nice to be here. Thanks very much, Dave. If I may just add, I'm actually from Hungary. I live in Hungary. I'm just visiting family in Transylvania.
Oh, great. Okay. Well, I'm sure in Hungary you have a background that could outclass me still, so that's awesome. Um, so tell us a bit about you and your company. And let's get a feel for what it is that you do before we kind of dive into some further questions. But I think it's always good to have a basic understanding of you and what you do, so it just puts everything into context going forward.
Thanks very much. Then I'll start with a brief wrap up about my professional history. Actually, after doing two high schools, two colleges, IT and economics, I went to Canon when I took over about 40% of the job of the CEO, dealing with partner relations. Then I moved to Canon, leading from marketing and sales perspective, the audiovisual business, which constituted about 60% of Canon's Samsung's income. And then I moved to NBCUniversal when I was responsible for marketing. NBCUniversal is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, media company in the world. And then gradually, during this period of working for the multinational companies, I started to get familiar with the systems and started to get the feel of it and how it works and how to proceed further in terms of positions, meaning in leadership positions, or let's say being the member of the board. You see some dynamics happening within the company. So you start to see what's happening from the human perspective. And this led me to the interest of starting to learn human studies. Quant humanism, actually, it's called, this special topic which I was studying at World University. So I kind of shifted towards HR and the human processes. And this led to a point when I said to myself that, okay, I learned a lot and from these multinational companies regarding the processes. At the same time, there are some things which could be transformed or transformed for the better, let's say. So there is room for improvement in terms of positivity within a, let's say, corporate environment, because corporate environment is about war. It's a war against competitors, let's say, and this is the basic setup. Let's say the basic mindset of CEOs, how to become number one, and the business is about how to become number one. Let's say, in Samsung, we brought the whole LED TV department, and then sales became number one in Hungary, let's say, but. It took a lot of struggle, and in this process, one sees the motivational factors which emerge within a multinational context. And there is some room for improvement. So at one point at a time, I said to myself, all right, it was nice to learn. At the same time, let's do something good for the people who are in these who face this situation, who work for multinational companies, because their lives could be transformed a bit better if one has a mindset for that. So I sat down with quite a few experts, MBAs in positive psychology, PhDs in statistics, psychiatrist lady from Germany, and from all over the world, from Denmark, the PhD statistics student who was just finishing her PhD, and also a top consultant from Germany, Mike Fox. And so we sat together and we said to ourselves, let's do something. Let's create a system which transforms the company culture to a more positive setup, and it helps people in a way that it benefits the leaders and the goals itself, the leaders themselves as well, because it helps to reach the company goals, the turnover goals, let's say, as well. Because happy people do better. So that's the point. When one studies positive psychology, it shows that without the cortisol leaving our system, meaning getting the stress out of the situation, stress and anxiety when it's out of the situation, then the body functions better, right? Because the cortisol doesn't block the whole system, because cortisol makes us fight. And what do we do when we see a bear? Then we start to run, and we don't need any digestional processes and so on. We just focus on the muscles. So it makes us fight. It puts us into a sympathetic state of nervous system, right? Our sympathetic system works. This means that we're in stress. But when this happens, then our brain blocks, because we don't have to think when we are running away from a bear, right? We just have to work without legs and feet and whatever. So in order to unfold creativity, unfold ideas, and human communication, and the warmth which is needed within a professional environment in order to be able to communicate, and that understanding, that compassion, which understands if someone if your colleagues or your boss makes a failure or errors, let's say like that. So when you are able to compassionately handle the situation. So in order to bring these parasympathetic functions out, one has to remove the stress and anxiety from the system. For that, one has to build up a system which supports that. And this is what we did with happiness consulting and the team that was helping us.
Interesting. And so, which all makes total sense, right? So how do you go about doing that? So what are the identifiers? What are the triggers? Or I guess it's pretty safe to say that every company deals with those stresses and some of those fights regardless, right? So you can help anybody, but it's so run me a bit through the process of how you might engage.
Well, our approach is simple. When we ask CEOs, what do you need in order to be successful? Then usually the answer is, at the end of the day, when we break down the branches, then the trunk of the tree is that they need to be aware of what's happening. Right. So we have to know what's happening in our company, or to see the statistics and so on. So we have to see. And the other one is how to make it better, the knowledge, how to make it better, how to transform the situation. And these two pillars, what we are using in our method, and one is called awareness, intelligence, meaning awareness outwardly and inwardly as well, meaning we are aware of ourselves, how we react, and how our mental patterns are, and how we reflect or reply on sensual impulses, meaning sounds, visual impulses, forms, and etc. Information, and so it's inner and outer awareness as well, because we should know what's happening in the world, and so it's inner and outer awareness. This is the first pillar. The second pillar, how to make things better. It's called happy mindset, because in order to transform something for the better, one just needs a good motivation, let's say. So right, so one just has to have a parasympathetic approach, right? So to put this as a like grounding brick, or how do you say it in English? So it's when we lay it down as a brick on which we build a house. Positive mindset, the happy mindset, then everything can only develop for the positive direction. So this happy mindset involves positive psychology, the methods of positive psychology, and also sociology. There are quite a few things in sociology which are groundbreaking in this area. And also some philosophy one needs to read, and psychology. Yeah. So basically, a few science, let's say, branches of science need to be involved in order to cook a great soup from different ingredients. So happiness counseling is basically a good cook who cooks a good soup from the ingredients. So if I may just get into the details, I would mention an example regarding the happy mindset part.
Yeah,
because that may be interesting for you, and from HR perspective, this is the most interesting thing, because when also yourself, when you develop people, you deal with CEOs and with HR directors, right? These are the contact points, and usually CEOs come to you, right?
Well, that's the most common people that get one-on-one treatment, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And basically, what comes is from that is that we start to talk about HR KPIs, and so what's important within the company from HR perspective, because the HR is a tool for the CEO in order to enhance the situation within the company, so enhance processes and develop soft skills of people, right? So from this perspective, the big terms we use are HR KPIs, enhancing HR KPIs. And that is HR KPIs. And the system, what we found out the most useful for CEOs and the people are as follows. We use a triangle or a pyramid or something on the bottom. There are the common values, meaning these are universal values. They don't have to be values of a certain culture. These can be, but they don't have to be. These shall be universal values of doing good. Universal values like doing good instead of bad is a good thing. So that's a universal value, right? And everyone can agree on that. So this is the basic of everything. When these are defined, then one can talk about a system, about an organizational system. And here, in terms of HR KPIs, we talk about both the system itself and the satisfaction with the system. So it's workplace satisfaction or job satisfaction, which is on this level. But also the system itself is being evaluated, because in a system where one has two bosses, like I had in Samsung, I had the Korean boss and the Hungarian boss, and they were competing, and I was in the middle. So it doesn't work. This system cannot work well. So for example, these organizational development points, the systems thinking, it's called the points of systems thinking. There are about 18 of those, which if one like uses them, then the system becomes a smooth flow and so on. So there's both improving the system, talking through and connecting the dots and making a straight line, and also the job satisfaction part, so that one becomes content with what's happening. And because one works for a higher good, let's say, so one shall find the purpose or the most that point which really moves one's heart. So this is the second layer. The third layer comes from that, because when one sits at the desk and has job satisfaction, and there's a system that works well, the next one is that one stands up and says, okay, I have a great idea. How about doing this and that? And this is what we call engagement and active participation. And but this doesn't mean one has to marry the boss. It just means that one works for the good, for a good idea, for a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So engagement unfolds on that level. And there are statistics that say that in case between two companies where the engagement is high and the other company engagement is on a low level, so it's not in the middle, one is high and one is low, the operational income can be can differ about 50%.
Wow.
About the same category companies. As I remember, it's Towers Watson research. And so improving engagement comes from fixing the values, then fixing the organizational system connected to job satisfaction, to discuss with people why shall be grateful for their job. Because one can decide to ask for more money or ask for some compassion and for a better workplace. And the statistics of the X generation shows that the young guys don't work for money; they work for feeling well at the company, right? Mm-hmm. So when this is fixed, then automatically the engagement comes. Of course, engagement is connected to the flow of I'm definitely sure you heard about the guy, the famous professor called Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, with the flow, and so one needs some knowledge and one needs some enthusiasm both in that level. So bringing people through these levels and discussing these with them during the trainings are proven to be really, really useful. And on that level, when we're at the engagement level, people burn out usually because they work too much. They work their asses off. So actually, they burn out. So the burnout clinics are full in Germany with a colleague of mine, his wife, ex-wife actually, but she's a burnout clinic psychiatrist, and they are full with business people who work themselves to the edge. So therefore, when one reaches this level of engagement and one made a lot of money for the company and oneself, because this is which is connected to the success and so on, one reaches to the point when well-being elements have to be taken inside the system, and the easiest is to just relax. Or to do some mental trainings during the mornings, relaxation trainings, or just go for 2 weeks of holiday, or just train your body to become, and so on. You know those. Everyone knows those. So so to relax out the system. So when a boxer goes to the ring and does the fighting, then after the fighting, after 2 minutes or how much, I don't know, they have to sit down and take a rest, right? And they take some power, gain some power, go back and fight stronger. So this is how it benefits the well-being level. And this level is really beneficial for the company. According to the surveys, I don't actually remember which survey I saw, but it's on our website, happiness-consulting.com. One can see that according to the survey, this well-being level can bring about 2 to 3 times higher operational, 2 to 3 times higher profitability for companies compared to companies that don't apply that. So this working hard, then relaxing, working hard, relaxing. So this this flow, this wave can really benefit people. And finally, when one does that, the working environment relaxes. And on that level, when one uses this well-being level, one is already at the stage that one helps naturally its own environment, its own department. So one becomes the internal coach developing people, protecting them and developing them. And on that level, it basically brings a lot of joy. According to positive psychology, when we do for people, it benefits us, but we also feel better. We feel even better than we were doing for ourselves. So it brings a kind of happiness at the top. And then this is the keystone, let's say, on the pyramid, because one can build a system from bottom up, but also can build it from top down. So when one learns positive psychology, then one can just recognize what's not working well in the hierarchy, and this really turns out well. And CEOs come to me and say, "Listen, I don't know what I would have been doing without you, because we were collapsing, and now everything is fine. Everybody feels good, and we are skyrocketing." So it's really a great feeling to have those.
Well, and not only that, from a fundamental standpoint, it really shows that you care about your employees, right? So you care about them personally, you care about them in their career. You want them to, take those vacations or time to stay healthy, right? And that goes a long way. We're in different markets, but in the US market, they just want you to work, right? The more you work, the better, right? And so it's almost, and I imagine it's probably similar in some other countries like Japan, where it's almost like a badge of honor to, show up sick, or don't use all your holidays, um, because it shows dedication to the company. But you know, where's the line where you don't, if you don't charge up the batteries, you're never going to give it your all.
Yeah, exactly. And it's absolutely. It's that's also my experience. I mean, there are two things basically. One is the weight on the CEO of have to perform well, and the other is how he can keep his or her people and improve their organization and develop their mindsets. And so one is about compassion, and the other one is about the brain, because one looks at the statistics and where are we at sales. So one has to check the sales figures, but that's all right. Actually, both CEOs, both the leaders and the employees, take a great leap in their change process when they understand that this is both the name of the game. These are both included, and CEOs get more compassionate. And when an employee hears that, who is not motivated by sales, let's say, then they understand that, okay, but the whole company is about sales. So it's so balancing the heart and the brain, and understanding that both are there. Just as you say, it's really that point.
Yeah. And so is most of your business, Seal, is it in Europe or in Hungary, or do you have work all around the country, around the world, or?
Well, we created Happiness Consulting as a franchise. So the first thing what we did when we created Happiness Consulting was to go to Malaysia and work together with Open University Malaysia that conducts 12 other universities. And we presented our approach and invited adult learning institutes and so on. And it worked out well. And we got a local franchise partner and so on. So it's a franchise. Me, myself, I live with my wife in Hungary, but at the same time, like we are available, just like we're having discussions right now. It's easy to travel or to talk during a conversation online as well. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. And so when CEOs call you, right? And I know you have a pretty active YouTube channel. And I mentioned there's some other ways that you reach out to people, but what level inside an organization usually reaches out to you and says, I have a problem?
Actually, the problem can appear at any size of organizations. So above 10,000 and below 50 as well. So I faced both. I mean, all. The point is here is that when one keeps the method of building on common values, we have about 12 online surveys with which we map the system. So we send it out, we map it, we create a lot of charts, and then we summarize it, and we talk with the CEO based on that. So this is the situation. This and this and this and this should be improve. What do you think? Which are the most important points for you? And so the improvement. I'm sure it's also your experience that when it's about improvement, the improvement can spread at any levels. So when you put a seed at one point, it can spread, and it's not about if it's a 10,000 employee company or a 10 employee company, because if you place the seed at the right point, and that's the CEO, because we have a saying in Hungary, I don't know how it's in English, but we say it, just translated directly, that the fish stinks from its head, right? So when we start to work together with an organization, the main thing what we discuss is that we have to start from the top, and the CEO has to sit on the meetings, on the trainings, because if he doesn't understand, and we give tools to people. I mean, positive psychology and philosophy and sociology and everything, and they become knowledgeable on those topics. These are different sciences of which is core we are giving as a, let's say, a gift. I mean, in a business terms, but actually people learn that because it's interesting during training. So when they know it and the boss doesn't know it, it's a funny situation. Right? So no matter where we start, one has to aim for the CEO, right?
Yeah, and you're never going to change culture or make a difference on anything soft like that without CEOs fully being involved in understanding the program. You know, there's so many times that I've seen it so many times where leadership folks, you know, try to do things or culture companies come in and try to do cultures. And I know a lot of culture vendors where they won't even take an engagement if the CEO is not going to be a part of it. Yeah, they're just like, nope, this isn't going to work. It's not going to get the results you want, so we're not even going to take your money.
Right.
Yeah, interesting
Exactly.
stuff. And so, is there technology at all to track, measure, or is it just training?
I mean, if you mean we have these internally validated surveys where we're
Okay,
using these are simple Google Form surveys. It's cheap. Anyone can copy that if they want, but it's not about that. I mean, technology is good to have, but it's not needed at this level. I mean, we have some tools. For example, there are some tools to measure mental well-being. I'm sure you have seen some space technology-based tools, right? Which can show the parasympathetic balance and so on. So we have those as well, but they're just in the mental well-being block place there. Yeah, but the tools are mainly based on these sciences.
Yeah, and just repetition. And to most of your engagements, so your franchises, if you will, when they bring you into a customer, do they is there how long is an engagement? Like, so if you had a 500 employee company, say, and you were working with, you know, everybody in the organization, you know, a financial institute where they're all white collar employees, how long would an engagement usually take to start? How long does it take to show some impact? And then how long or what's the maintenance look like to keep it going?
Yeah. Basically, when one meets a CEO, then it's about a half an hour, a 1 hour discussion first. Then we send out the surveys. Those take about altogether, because 12 surveys, they take about 3.5 hours to fill, roughly. I mean, one can take it anytime and do it in separate time slots and so on. And then we have a 1 hour presentation, to the CEO. Then we discuss the major topics, the strategy, what we form together in order to create a tailor-made training for that company, for those needs which are most important for them. And then we have a leadership presentation from created together with the CEO. We provide the material for him to provide, and I'm here or my colleagues there. And he presents what's going to happen in this company, what we are going to build. So we empower the CEOs. We give them material and the statistics, which is handing over knowledge, right? And this starts, and when it's about a 500 or above company, even at a company of 80 people, which was, for example, Samsung, we had an internal trainer. And usually internal trainers are involved. And when we say that we have a system for involving internal trainers, happiness ambassador program, we call it. And trainers take part of the trainings, the first trainings, which is presented top down to the CEO and the top management. And trainers can become happiness ambassadors, meaning that they receive all support from us. They can use the surveys themselves. They get additional material to read, books, video material, and so on. So they get a full training. So this is an approach where we hand over the full knowledge. We don't keep it for ourselves. We open it up to the companies. They can have the full knowledge, and they can use it for themselves. Basically, what we recommend, you were asking about the reconciliation period, and the period that it takes to get effect. So it's about half a year, which is needed to take the full transformation process to get it through, because it's also a mental process. So one has to get used to it. And when we do the first training, then a lot of things in the brain, the neural system of the brain receives a positive atomic bomb, and then everything is, and they are not ready for the next training for about 3 weeks or 4 weeks and so on. So we have to wait till the point when it loosens it out itself, or it gets relaxed, and then we can give them another second training. Because it's usually about 6 to 8 days, full days, what we usually take with the management to get them through the whole process. But the last 2 or 3 trainings are already experienced within the already transformed company. So it's a half a year or 1 year till the whole training rolls out and the effects show themselves. And and then we do a reconciliation with the surveys again. But the point is that up to that time, they learn so much that they don't even need to do they feel they don't need to do the surveys again, because they already know the good answers and they fill it out like professionals. And then we know, okay, it's okay, we do the training, but the real change has happened already within themselves and within the organization. And the real measurement, and the most important measurement, is a really human approach. We sit down with the director or the CEO and ask, how do you feel according to your feelings? what was the percentage of the change you experienced?
Mhm.
And they say 35%, 40%, 50% even, and so on. So it's like a major change they feel happen.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see, with the overall taking the before and then after surveys and comparing the overall rates, and then throwing some basic HR metrics against it, like retention, employee engagement, NPA scores, if net promoter scores, if they've ever tracked any of those things, just some basic metrics, and then calculate some financial metrics, operating costs, sales, things like that, and just see where the rubber meets the road, and come up with that grid to say, well, we're not going to guarantee you that we're going to help your profitability by 15%, but here's 10 companies that have on average, right? That would be.
That was a great idea, what you mentioned about retention. Actually, we didn't connect these figures to retention. Thanks for this idea. That's really great. At the same time, we connected to operational results and the bottom line. So we made, for example, the big companies, they need numbers, right? So when you go for a tender and you try to get into a big company and explain them your system, and then you have to show numbers, because that's what their CEOs listen to for now. But for that, we had to be able to show an example on 1% change in total happiness, organization happiness, which is on top of the whole metrics, right?
Mm-hmm.
1% change can cause this and this amount of improvement in the bottom line. So this is connected. And we took a step further, because we approached the government as well. And I met really high government officials who were really astonished about the presentation I showed them, and European Union level and so on. And they were really interested in the point when one talks about 1% of gross national happiness improvement can result in how much percent increase in the GDP or GNP, PPP, right? Mm-hmm. So it's really when you apply it system-wise and so on. So this is really a great point what you pointed out.
Interesting. That's good. Is there anything else that you'd like to talk about here, Seal, before we wrap up?
I would love to ask you a few things, because as our experience, according to our experience, the point is that the doing, let's say, the methods sometimes are just tools for CEOs. And David, I'd like to ask you about your approach or your connection or your thoughts about professional intuition. How often do you apply professional intuition in your daily work? Often, very often, not so much, sometimes.
Well, right now I don't have much of a staff, right? So, but I would say in the past when.
Yeah, with clients and so on, yeah.
Yeah, not as often as I should. So, yeah, I don't do that as often as I should, and I know it too, and I often think of it after a call, or but sometimes habits are what they are, right? So I really should break those habits.
Yeah. Sometimes you have the feeling of having feeling of that this situation will not really work out and so on, and you will wish to have acted according to your intuition, as I understand, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is what we see at the leaders level. So basically, they don't give a beep, about what's happening really within the organization. They don't really, they are really not interested sometimes in the numbers. They just want to go in and feel the situation and just like what's in the air and just feel it and just get into that according to their feelings. And of course, this knowledge and this experience, what you have, recognizing a certain situation, being a little bit funny and so on. This comes from the professional knowledge of the brain, that one knows the profession really well, and one has the experience of the work at the workplace and what has to be done and how to improve and so on. And at the same time, it also shows that there is something what we call mind. Let's say the brain is the conscious, to logical consciousness, and there's a kind of awareness, which is like a movie screen, which is shining behind the ever-changing pictures within the screen. So within the movie screen, the movie plays what we do and how we do it, and we're changing the colors from black to purple and so on, to purple to red and to red to so as we want, you know. But at the same time, we forgot that there's the radiant mind, the awareness which is there, and this awareness is bubbling up in these situations when you experience this. Oh wow. Probably there is something. You don't know why, because it's not connected to logic, to the 3D logic, but it's a kind of 4D space-like awareness, which just says, wow, what's happening here? Something's not right, right? So this is the sign of the leaders, what they do according to our experience as well. And I'm really happy that you confirmed it. Thanks very much.
Yeah, it's really funny, and I just, the people that I speak with, you know, on a regular, you know, coaches and consultants, and I find myself spending way more time with coaches, you know, in the overall HR space versus payroll or staffing. I just find them more fascinating, and more genuine, and they always share things that, you know, so my awareness on things like that is just grown exponentially over the last 7 years. That I think that if I look at what you brought to as a VP of sales with 30 people under me, if I was to do that same job now, I would have a way different approach.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and even more so if I, you know, was involved in a program like yours, right? Then it would be, you know, to the next level, the approach that I would have too. So it's so fascinating, and I love how you bridge the psychology in there, right? Because psychology makes humans work, right? That's that's what we're all about, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
And
that's
we are
awesome.
psychology, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And this human approach, what you mentioned in the beginning, is the key of all, because when one has that, one can relax the sympathetic states of mind to parasympathetic, and everything comes from that. One just wants to have a human contact, right? And do something good, and everything comes from that, as you said. Yeah.
yeah, 100%. That's very cool. All right. So if anybody wants to get a hold of Sale's going to send me ways and a bio and all that good stuff, and I'll make sure that I have it below anywhere you're watching this, so you can click and get a hold of them and start your journey for a better workplace.
Or maybe we could work together on that, David. Thanks very much. Really appreciate that you invited me for this interview, and thanks really for explaining your experience in that. And it was really a fruitful conversation. Thank you.